On July 12, 2014, at the Hiroshima police station in Japan, a girl walked in holding her mother's hand tightly. Outwardly, she looked no different from an ordinary high school student, but the words she spoke sent chills down everyone's spine. "I killed someone." The girl who confessed was 17-year-old Miki Nakamura. The victim she admitted to killing was also a teenage girl of the same age named Erica. Police were bewildered by this unexpected confession and asked why she had killed her friend. Miki answered matter-of-factly, "She kept cursing at me in the chat room." You killed someone just because of an online argument. The police couldn't believe this naively horrifying response. The female student's confession seemed vague, but when police continued asking about the whereabouts of the body, Miki's expression suddenly became serious. She tensely confessed that she had dumped the body at Mount Haigamin, a remote area about 12.4 miles from downtown Hiroshima, a desolate place with no one around. Police began to suspect this might just be a prank. However, there was one detail that concerned them. The location Miki mentioned, Mount Haigamin, was very difficult to access without transportation, and even with a car, it would take 40 to 50 minutes to reach. Meanwhile, Miki was only 16 years old, not old enough to drive. When police asked how she could have gotten to such a remote place, Miki replied that she had taken a taxi with the victim. Seeing the police still look skeptical, she affirmed once more with a decisive tone, "I really did kill her." The next day, July 13th, based on Miki's testimony, the police team began searching and actually discovered a body beneath the cliff of Mount Haigamin. The body was in severe decomposition, appearing to have been dead for quite some time with broken bones throughout as if it had fallen from a great height. After conducting an autopsy, the identity was confirmed to be Erica, the girl who had mysteriously disappeared. Police intended to arrest Miki on murder charges, but still had doubts because this could have been just an accident of falling off the cliff. For this reason, they decided to arrest her on charges of disposing of a body rather than direct murder. What made it difficult for police to believe was that a 17-year-old girl could independently carry out a criminal act at such a treacherous location, a place inaccessible without transportation. From this, they began to suspect the existence of accomplices. To track down the conspirators, police examined Miki's phone. Through analyzing the messages, they identified suspicious individuals who had conversations related to the case. This number reached 6 people. On July 17th, during the investigation, an unexpected development occurred. 3 of the 6 people who appeared in the messages voluntarily came to the police station. They were 17-year-old Ayano, 17-year-old Daisuke, and 16-year-old Tatya. They cautiously spoke up. "We were also involved in Erica's case." After cross-referencing the testimonies of these 3 teenagers with Miki's previous messages, police were completely certain they were connected to the case. Thus, a total of 4 people, including Miki, were all arrested on charges of disposing of a body and murder. Based on the testimonies obtained, police continued to arrest 3 more people: 21-year-old Odai, 17-year-old Nana, and 16-year-old Hazuki. What was notable was that among the 7 people arrested, 4 people, including Miki, Ayano, Daisuke, and Tatya, all lived together as runaways. Miki and Dao, Ayano, and Tatya formed 2 couples. All came from broken, unfortunate families. In these difficult circumstances, they relied on each other and made a living through jobs like truck driving or prostitution. What was surprising was that their income was not small at all. They could even earn several hundred yen per month. Because of this group had become famous in the area because these kids always went around together and spent money lavishly. The other 3 people also maintained close relationships with this family. Odai, the only adult, knew the boys through truck driving work and served as transportation for the family that didn't have their own vehicle. As for Nana and Hazuki, although they didn't live together, they were also delinquent teenagers who had gone astray. So how was the victim Erica connected to them? It turned out Erica was attending the same school as Miki the first person to confess. The two girls became close because they both had unfortunate family circumstances. Later, at Mickey's invitation, Erica joined a chat room and naturally began to have relationships with people in this chat room. Initially, the two were bonded like true friends, but from a certain point, their relationship began to show cracks. The members of this chat group all considered each other like blood relatives. However, there still existed hierarchies and underlying tensions within. Among them, Mickey played the role of leader. She always wanted to become the central figure of the group, but gradually realized that Erica was getting more attention than herself. From then on, she began to feel insecure and fell into a psychological crisis. On the night of June 27th, four members of this chat group were gathering at a karaoke bar in downtown Hiroshima. While singing happily, Mickey continuously checked the chat room. This chat room was a public chat that included men wanting to buy sex and teenage girls. Members also often exchanged work through this chat room, and Erica had just recently started operating after being introduced by Mickey. That day, Erica was chatting very intimately with this strange man. Mickey became increasingly uncomfortable seeing this scene. Why am I the one who invited her to the chat room, but she's stealing the spotlight? The feeling of jealousy grew higher and higher, and finally, she couldn't contain it anymore and interjected into the conversation. It's best not to get involved with Erica. Everyone knows what kind of person she is. This comment made the atmosphere in the chat room suddenly turn cold. At this point, Erica couldn't stand it anymore and retorted, "What are you saying? You only talk about money all the time? It's really exhausting." This small argument gradually escalated uncontrollably. After that, both exploded emotionally with crude words exchanged back and forth. "I'll kill you," "I'll bury you." Such statements made the atmosphere reach peak tension. Mickey was so angry she lost her mind, breathing heavily non-stop. The chat group members who were playing together immediately asked what had happened. At this point, she recounted everything that had just occurred in the chat room. After hearing this, all members showed indignation. How dare they mess with our leader? We need to teach her a thorough lesson. They began discussing plans and asked Nana to contact Erica to secretly call her out to an empty lot in the area. Nana, along with another accomplice, Hizuki, sent private messages to Erica. The chat room incident earlier was a bit sad, wasn't it? Come out and talk with me for a bit. Hizuki will be there too. It was already past 3 a.m. after the argument in the chat room. Erica didn't want to be alone, and she usually had a good relationship with Nana and Hizuki. So even though it was very late, she didn't suspect anything and immediately agreed to come out. At 4 a.m., all three met at an empty lot on the outskirts of Hiroshima. Just as Erica cheerfully greeted the two, a car appeared from behind and chat group members jumped out of the vehicle. They forced Erica into the car, then brutally slammed the car door shut. Erica looked around and saw herself surrounded by members on all sides. Sensing the cold, dangerous atmosphere, she instinctively screamed for help, but her cries were immediately muffled by someone. The carrying Erica sped away and soon entered the highway, reaching a toll booth. Although there were staff stationed at the toll booth, Erica thought this was her last chance and desperately screamed, "Please save me. Please help me," but the loud music drowned out her cries and no one could hear. Seeing her call for help, the members became even more enraged. They took a towel from the back seat and stuffed it into Erica's mouth. In extreme fear, with her mouth gagged with the towel, Erica could hardly maintain her composure. But the members' fury had not subsided at all. Now began the cruel torture without reason. Unprovoked punches and kicks targeted her entire body. Erica continuously lost consciousness and regained it, gradually becoming exhausted and losing the ability to resist. At this point, Mickey was quietly observing, then took something from her bag. It was a box cutter. She silently approached Erica and began stabbing the knife into her stomach. Although Erica screamed in horrific pain, no one stopped Mickey. The surrounding members calmly watched this scene, with some even laughing as if they found it amusing. Just because of an argument in a chat room, it had led to something so horrific. In this chaotic situation, the car still didn't stop and plunged deep into Mount Hygamine. When they reached the middle of the mountain, the car stopped and they dragged Erica, who was now nearly unconscious, out of the car and threw her to the ground. She was covered in blood all over her body and couldn't move normally. But the horrific torture still hadn't stopped. At this point, Mickey's boyfriend, Docky, began to act. He approached Erica from behind, wrapped his hands around her neck, and began to squeeze tightly. Soon after, he felt Erica's neck bones being crushed. She was dead. Afterward, the members didn't hesitate to throw the body off the cliff. They thought all their crimes would be covered up, and they all returned home as if nothing had happened. So why did Mickey suddenly confess? Actually, that night, she didn't think much about it. But as days passed, the feeling of guilt grew stronger. Although she outwardly pretended to be normal, every night she feared Erica's ghost would come for her, often mumbling to herself and crying for no clear reason, appearing very unstable. With this unrelenting anxious mood, she personally went to Mount Hygamine, the place where they had dumped the body, to check. There she witnessed Erica still abandoned beneath the cliff. It was July summer. Japanese summers are extremely hot and humid. In this burning heat, the body had severely decomposed, with limbs broken in grotesque ways from the impact of falling. Moreover, the entire body was covered with maggots and insects. Seeing the body in such a pitiful state, Mickey was indescribably shocked and felt deep guilt. Finally, that night, she revealed the entire truth to her mother and the next day went to the police station to confess. But there was still one more puzzling thing here. Why did Mickey initially insist this was a crime she committed alone? This question was answered more easily than expected. For her, the existence of this family was extremely precious. Growing up with domestic violence and abandonment, these members were her real family instead. To protect them, she wanted to bear all the guilt alone. But in the end, it was precisely because of such deep bonding relationships that everyone had to pay the price for their actions. Police prosecuted Odai, the only adult, on charges of robbery resulting in death, confinement, disposing of a body, and theft. The remaining 6 were minors, so they were tried in family court for juveniles. Family court is where issues like crimes committed by minors or domestic violence and divorce occurring within families are handled. In juvenile trials, even when receiving the maximum sentence, they are only sent to reform school. But if the juvenile offender's age is close to 20 or the criminal content is extremely brutal, they may be transferred to criminal trial. So what happened to the remaining 6 family members? Nana and Hizuki had lured Erica out, but didn't directly participate in the torture. So they were sent to intermediate reform school. The other members were also sent to intermediate reform school because they didn't actively participate in the crime. Fortunately, Mickey, the main perpetrator, and Days, who directly killed Erica, were prosecuted and received criminal trials. On October 24, 2014, Mickey's criminal trial began. She claimed that she actually wanted to forgive and release Erica halfway through, but was afraid that if she stopped, she would be abandoned by her family, so she didn't dare to do so. In other words, there was no intent to kill. The court naturally did not accept this defense. The court understood that Mickey had grown up in an unfortunate family environment, and because she was obsessed with her family, she couldn't stop the criminal behavior. But this couldn't become a reason for sentence reduction. As a result, Odai, the only adult, was sentenced to 13 years in prison. Days, who directly strangled Erica to death, was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Finally, Mickey was sentenced to 13 years in prison. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.